Hey, welcome to the lab. I'm Gaby Delismé, and today you are in for a treat. Today we've got Sheryl Hunter, Esquire, with us, and y'all, she's going to blow you away.
Uh-oh, you set me up. Better perform.
Because I know you deliver. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
It's a very broad question, so I'm going to try to narrow it down a little bit. So I'm Sheryl Hunter with Hunter Business Law. I am the founder and president of this organization, and we exclusively work with growth-focused entrepreneurs and their business enterprises. So what does that mean if we break that down? It means that I absolutely welcome the creative types, people who have a vision and a dream and they want to bring it to life. And we really take them down the journey and are partners with them on that journey. So the journey really is starting your business, right? Mm-hmm. Then it's the growth phase. So that can start early for some people, or it might take several years, and then they start to really kind of grow and scale their companies. Wherever people find themselves, we'll take them. So starting, growing, and then selling. So at some point, they may want to exit the business. And so that means helping them to either put it on the market or find some maybe employees who would package it and buy it, and a way to exit through that type of mechanism. And then we also work with investors in entrepreneurs. And so angel investors in particular who help finance technology and other growth-focused companies. So that's kind of the typical lifestyle. Somebody starts it, they grow it, they sell it, then they have money and they reinvest, or they just start over, and those people are called serial entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just listening to you talk about the different phases of the business life cycle,
yes,
really just kind of helps me, and I'm sure a lot of people put things into perspective, because a lot of times folks just think about the start.
Right.
Well, if that's the only thing that you're thinking about, how is it that you're going to grow the business?
Great point, because people often correctly say start with the end in mind.
Yes.
Right? So you do, and that's really one of the reasons to surround yourselves with people who've been there, done that, or who are professional advisors, because they can help you see what's coming ahead. So you wouldn't go and decide, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, and only think about the part where you're going to base camp. Because once you're on base camp, you can't like go back down and go, oh, I should have put on more warm gear to go to this next stage, right? So you have to really kind of map out your provisions, make sure you have everything you know for that journey, you need for that journey, and know what you're going to be doing when you get to that. Now, you can only forecast to a certain extent, right? I mean, it's easier actually probably to plan to go on Mount Everest. However, because it's lack of predictability. But it's similar in the sense that you have to say, what if I have a storm? Okay, well, maybe I need to get a line of credit now when I don't need it, because if I have a cash flow problem, I don't want to have to go get it in an emergency. I don't want to have to pay super high interest rates because I'm in a major bind and I need emergency cash. So those types of things you can think about ahead of time and be smart about it. And many times people who haven't run a business before, they actually need professional advisors or coaches or peers who are a little farther along on the journey, who can kind of say, hey, by the way, make sure you do this, before you get there.
And women are opening businesses like at such an astronomical rate.
Yes.
And how often are you finding it that we as women are doing that, seeking wise counsel?
Well, I think women are actually good about doing that. I think that women, we are naturally gatherers of information, and I think that we also have a little more camaraderie in terms of, girl talk and that type of thing. So I think women are actually good at gathering and sharing and asking for help in that regard. Where I think that women need a little bit of help, or even internally, let me put it to this way, is confidence and being able to not only start a company, but take it to a level that's a little beyond their wildest imaginations. Because if you look at the statistics, the vast majority of businesses that are above $1 million are men. It's actually, I don't want to quote, because I might quote it wrong, but it's staggeringly low percentage of women that get a business past $1 million in revenue. And so that means it's men who are doing that. So what accounts for that? Now, some of it is historical, that, women still are newer to independently taking on the workforce by starting their own businesses. And so there's some lag there. But I think it's also just we don't want to screw up, and we put a tremendous amount of pressure on ourselves not to fail, not to disappoint. It's a confidence factor in many respects. And I think that that's a big barrier that we need to overcome. And that, though, can also come with, you're going to be more confident if you feel like you have great advisors, you have good supporters, you have peers that are cheering you on. That's going to help take you to another level. Because sometimes when you don't believe in yourself enough, someone else is like, what do you mean? You have everything you need to accomplish this goal.
Yes, and I agree. And with that confidence, I actually see it also in the space of personal finance.
Oh, sure.
So we women are set to control, I think I saw it was 2/3 of the country's wealth by 2023. And there's this intimidation factor that we don't want to screw it up. We don't know how to manage it. And so it kind of poses a roadblock for us. So in that, when we face roadblocks, what is your take on how important it is to have people that we surround ourselves that are like-minded or that we can aspire to, folks that can actually help us get to being able to manage a multi-million-dollar business?
Right. Well, I think that the more role models that we have, the more that we see other women achieving these and accomplishing these goals, that helps. Even if it's just on a subconscious level, we see more people there's an affinity factor of, okay, I can relate to that person, and therefore I think I can also do this. So I think that's important. I do think that in terms of that confidence factor, again, having that support system around you, having people kind of guiding you and helping you to accomplish your goals is absolutely critical. And having a financial advisor is part of that because, okay, how much am I needing to set aside to make sure I'm caring for my family, my retirement, my future? How much am I able to place at risk? Because entrepreneurship is a risky endeavor. There are no promises. There are also no promises in taking a corporate job.
Right.
Especially in this day and age, you could be told that day, bye-bye, like Laser Spine Institute. I mean, all of a sudden, all these people are out of work just with no forewarning whatsoever, which is one of the things I like about entrepreneurship and starting and running your own business. You are the captain of your own ship. It's obviously there are many people impacting those seas and whether you're going to have a good journey, and that includes, your customers, your clientele, your employees. So you don't have control over every element, but you do control your company and your destiny in that regard. So that's super important. And then I think the other thing is having emotional fortitude, and finding within yourself, because at the end of the day, it does have to come from inside. You can have people advising you, helping you, inspiring you, but they're not pulling you out of bed. Right. You got to get yourself up, get yourself dressed, get out into the world, put your game face on, even on days when you're not really feeling very confident. Right. And so there are certain, tools that people develop, I think, over time to help them get through ceilings. You're gonna have a point where you're like, I don't know if I can break through this. And so you got to develop some things that help you. Some people it's exercise. They get the endorphins. They just, I'm going to go to the gym and then I'll get out of this mood and into this other mood. Right. Other people love to go to, Tony Robbins and other types of inspirational conferences and speaking engagements. And that really is a fantastic tool for them to get inspired and rejuvenated. Other people need to go into a quiet hole. They'll go to the beach and they'll regroup through meditation. So I don't think there's any one recipe for any one person. Other people, prayer, and just giving it over to God in order to break through that fear and just saying, what's the worst that's going to happen to me? God has a plan for me. So I think you just have to come up with your own tools to help you.
And that requires that you know yourself.
Yes.
And I heard you mention prayer. And so how important is faith in your practice?
It's personal for me. Like I certainly, I'm cautious in sense of imposing it on anyone else from employees or clientele. But there's no question that I bring it into my own decision making. And, I think if you combine faith and feeling it's okay to feel like you've lost some of your power and then you need to give it over and then go through that process. I personally find that super helpful. I think you've probably heard me talk about, Jesus take the wheel. So I'll go from, I love Imagine Dragons, and then I love, my country music. And so depending on how I'm feeling on a certain day, it might be like, whatever it takes, but Imagine Dragons, and I'm pumped, and I'm like, I'm going to conquer the world today. And that's when I get my super creative ideas going, and I make real progress toward a goal. And sometimes I get out a little over my skis, I'm like, okay, this is all ready to go. And then I haven't really gotten everything done that I need to actually get it going. And then there's other days where I feel deflated and defeated, and I got to find some strength, and then I just say, Jesus, take the wheel. And that's sort of just not giving up by any stretch, is just letting go of that need to control it to such a point that you have an anxiety attack.
Yes.
So I think it also helps guide the values and the mission of my business, for me personally, especially. In fact, I just had a situation with a client where she kind of felt that she had not been treated fairly, or had been a little bit dismissed. She'd been very behind on her bills and wanted additional work. And, when I first got her email, I was very like, how could she feel this? Like, how would she possibly feel this? And then I just like, okay, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits. One of them is first seek to understand and then to be understood. So I kind of just sat on it for a little bit, reread what she had written, tried to put myself in her position. She'd been having a lot of health crisis, and other things had been taken from her. So her dreams had been kind of shattered. And so when I tried to put it in the context through which she was experiencing us saying, we can't do any more work for you right now because you're past due on your bills, I think it was probably like the last straw emotionally of, no one's helping me, and I'm in crisis, and no one's helping me. So I was able to kind of pray through that. I went to church on Sunday, and then I wrote her a long email, and it was so beautifully received. Like her response, was so like, thank you for recognizing the context, placed in another way. So.
And it's like this human to human connection. Like, we really are all connected, and we're all on this life journey experiencing different things.
Yeah. And it's tough. I mean, I will tell you, when you're running a business, it's a business. And so you need to be paid.
Yes.
You need to, and this is the other area that I think women, it's been actually super helpful for me. I have 6 attorneys now, and one of my first hires was a male attorney who, his empathy meter is a little lower, but it doesn't mean he doesn't lack any compassion, but he's just tougher. And early on, to be like, why are you writing off that time? Why are you not billing that amount? Like, why are you doing this for free? And it was actually really, really critical for me at that time, because I'm like, you know what, you're right. The work I did was great. It has this much value. Like, why am I devaluing myself? And so I think one of the hardest things that I've experienced, and I know from my other women clients in particular, and men struggle with this sometimes too, is placing this value on your products and services and not devaluing. And that goes back to that confidence factor. You don't want to have an unrealistic sense of your pricing and your value. You need to be competitive in the marketplace, but you also shouldn't be sitting there going, am I worth this?
Right. And that goes back to knowing yourself and ultimately.
Because that'll hold back growth, right? I mean, if you're constantly not charging or letting people not pay you, being taken advantage of by employees who pressure you, whatever, you can't grow the business. And ultimately, not only cannot grow, you may end up having your business fail because of it.
And then it also leads into all sorts of other things, that feeling of resentment. And so it becomes this negative spiral that, if we address ahead of time, can help us.
Yeah. So don't let yourself get taken advantage of in the first place. So you can be caring and compassionate and still be a savvy businesswoman.